crazy.
But there's a lot of things. I mean, a lot of stuff has always happened to me in boxing. Sometimes wrongful decisions and stuff like that. But it kind of surprises me a little bit where it comes to my sport now. I think it has changed a bit. That's the only thing. But I think that with me involved, as long as God gives me help, and I think I could bring my sport back to how I kind of visioned it when I was starting.
You said wrongful decisions. Which are you talking about in the pros?
I don't know, amateurs, pros, but I'm mainly talking about like amateurs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you sign with Top Rank, you start fighting. Obviously, that means you start cashing paychecks, right? To a certain extent, not the biggest paychecks that you're getting now, but it's still money, right? Still a decent paycheck. What changed for you and your family back then as the money started to come in?
I was making $1,000 a round. $1,000 a round when I started. I mean, Top Rank brought me in, but they already had their guys, I suppose. You know, Shakur Stevenson, Mick Conlon, Robson, Constant Cow, who was the 2016 Olympic gold medalist.
Right.
Yeah, but I was like
1,000 in 3 minutes for a kid. How old were you when you turned pro?
I was 19.
That's gotta feel good, right?
I would get like 1,000 around. Well, I get the whole total, of course, but yeah, it was. You know, I mean, turning nothing into something. You know, that's I'm forever grateful for. You know, and I kind of it's kind of interesting though. You go from 4 figures to from 4 to 6, and then 6 to stuff. You work your way up, and you know that's my goal now. Is just more so of how do I solidify a good foundation for my son and for what I represent. You know, for my sport. You know, it's about the glory. It's about winning, fighting the best. You know, not dodging. You know, no matter who's in front of you, you want to show everybody that you're the best. The only way you do it, you got to fight who's the champion or who is the best.
You became world champion, right, with the fight against Richard Comey. The fight that I feel like really threw a massive spotlight on you, though, is obviously the one against Vasily Lomachenko, where you become unified champ, undisputed champ, probably in Europe, and you can dispute that with the mess with the whole WBC belts.
It's kind of flawed. I think it's messed up, though.
It is messed up, right? Because you should have become the 7th man to be undisputed in the world, but box rank and nobody else will record it that way.
Yeah,
what happened 7th? Oh, dang, okay.
Yeah, it was I guess Jermaine Taylor, I know Crawford's in it, Usyk is in it, then it was somebody else I'm missing out. I think maybe Bernard Hopkins. Not too sure.
Do you feel like you've made peace with that or not? Well, you never made peace with that.
Fuck no. That's why that's sorry for my language, but that's the only reason why I'm sorry, but I'm gonna ask everybody out in my sport.
That's the only response that you
that's the only way I'm gonna have everyone sit down, because we as fighters are the reason why those guys that sit down and set the business negotiations, we're the reason why they're getting paid. Now, them getting paid more than us is ridiculous, but that's between sides, and that's between who you're with. But no, I'm someone that's why I respect and love, and I believe that overall, however we look at it, Muhammad Ali's the greatest of all time, in general, in the world. You know, not just in the sport of boxing. The sport of boxing is really small. You're in it, right? But when you grab the world and everything in it, Chico, it works in a sense of how he did it, and he stood for something. He didn't fall for anything. I will always hold that, and he said that proudly. He said, "I'm the greatest." I said it before I even knew I was. Like those things, and so much confidence. That goes to show, like, if he could do it, and he's the greatest of all time. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is, like, we gotta fix the sport. You know. I understand it's negotiations, but that's outside of what we're doing right now.
It's unfortunate, though, that happens. I get it totally. So when you did get all those belts against Vasily Lomachenko, you're top of the weight class. It's something that so few people can say that they've achieved, right? Was the high what you expected it to be?
Oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Why not?
It was. I don't want to say I don't think I had maybe I did have my expectations high in the sense of what I would imagine, but during the time, it's the bubble, COVID times. But I think it was more so, I became, in boxing history, the second after Mike Tyson to become the youngest four-belt era champion. Makes you undisputed. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, they put it up there. And then, I'm the youngest in four-belt era. Well, no, not the youngest, but what was it? The second youngest. But just to do it in that time span, I think that really I knew what I was going to do. That I had no problem with. It was the fact that at the aftermath of how many heads, I don't want to mention names, but how many heads just turned their head around and kind of showed me the ugly face, after I won. And
that's strange because usually you see people's best side when you're on top. You know what I mean?
It's like that, you try to get some love when you're number one, but no, it's not like that. It's because so many people want to be that number one that when someone else gets it, they're okay with probably someone having it. But when someone else gets it and they didn't want to have it, things could be rocky. And I feel like that's why we shocked the world, right? We shocked the boxing industry, the world, and kind of like gave it like a little eruption. Like, hey, we're here to, the new generation is on the cusp, and the old generation is on its way out, which it happens. It's part of life. Eventually, us that are coming up, we're going to eventually have to be too, But that's far from that.
Tyson Fury said something kind of similar, right? When he reached his high, the best moment in his career when he beat Klitschko and became champ. He said that when he got to the top, it felt lonely and it felt like a letdown, and that's what kind of led him down a bad path. Did you feel like it was a real letdown then, or could you still enjoy the moment despite what was going on around you?
I'll just say life comes at you fast.
It does.
It comes at you fast, and sometimes you'd be surprised how many. You always have like a feeling, but then it comes to a point where you start realizing the people around certain ones that you just can't. That you just know it's not a good suit. Not a good suit. It's not a good feeling. But I wouldn't say it was a letdown experience for me. It was a great moment. I will always forever cherish it, and I'm looking forward to more bigger things. I don't want to just be known as the fighter that beat Lomachenko.
Right, yeah.
I want to be known as Teofimo Lopez. And, but I think overall though, it can be tough though. That was the only thing. It's just the way life comes at you and how it comes at you. That it kind of like, you can really get anxiety off of it if you don't know how to handle it right.
Well, it's funny because from the outside looking in, it looked like you were having the time of your life, right? Every single boxing show you turned on, every fight you watched, Teofimo Lopez was there ringside, taking pictures on the set. Like, it looked like you were having an amazing time. Did any of that kind of everybody wanting a piece of you, did that fame go to your head in any way?
No. I always knew that. I learned, God humbled me 3 times before I turned pro.
Okay.
And the reason why I say it like that is because when it came to me winning so many times and stuff, at a young age you can take a big shot. And God will humble you and sit you down, and I didn't learn once, I didn't learn twice, but 3 times. I finally kicked in, like, when I make it to that point again, and I'm where I want to be or where I need to be in my life, I know I got to keep it level-headed.
Right.
I think Kanye's mom said, Donna, she said, the giant doesn't see anything in the mirror. Something like that, she says. The giant sees nothing.
I don't know if I really understand that. Oh, what, because the giant's too tall for the mirror?
Basically, like, the giant, people see him and they're like, wow, he's a giant. But the giant doesn't see that in the mirror.
Okay.
So basically, you could be too, the way she explained it was so, like, you're never too high. Like, you're high, but you're never too low to touch the ground.
That's true.
You're like, so you're saying grounded, pretty much.
I'm like the only person who's not watched that documentary. I need to see that.
I love the relationship with Kanye and mother. You could tell that she brought that confidence out and always brought him that reassurance.
She was his rock, right? That's what it comes across like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
so Take me back to, you have all the belts, you beat Vasily Lomachenko, you're on that high, and then you make the defense of the titles against George Kambosos. He gets given the win via the split decision, which is your first professional loss. You feel like it was wrongly awarded to him. You say after the fight, everybody knows I beat him 10 rounds to 2. I won that fight. And the crowd reacted by booing you. And the crowd were your fans. They turned out for you. How did that make you feel?
I don't care. It's a sense of, like, that's really, I guess they thought that I was just going to be this kid that just, like, all right, we're going to take the win, like the loss. But someone that wins ain't going to offer you a rematch. You know what I mean? That's for me to tell you. You know what I'm saying? And before they even announced that, the ref raised my hand. No one talks about that. And if anyone's the biggest or the main judge, it's the ref. He's saying that. But you know, things happen the way they did. I can't even get mad at it at this point. It's more so like all about what I do now because nobody knew what I was going through in that fight. No one knows how I was feeling in the middle of those rounds where my father was asking me numerous times, I'm going to throw in the towel because you're looking like you're dying on me. Because he knew I had my asthma and I had bronchitis and early stages of pneumonia. Fighting Kambosos for 12 rounds with a tear in my esophagus, a tear in my chest. I had airflow running through my heart, my neck, and my head. For 12 rounds fighting like that.
It's crazy, right? You talked about that afterwards because I think the medical report was released where they said that you hadn't died in that fight because you had this air trap between the two lungs in that space. They said it would have been like fighting with a 300-pound weight on your chest, and just said that you were lucky to have survived it. I think I read that you said that you felt something the night before, at dinner the night before, you felt unwell. You felt like your throat was swollen, you couldn't breathe properly. Is that right?
No, that's exactly what happened.
So do you now look back and think, man, because you said your dad had told you that he wanted to go, you should go to the hospital, you need to go check this out. And you said, well, I don't want to because they might cancel the fight. Now with hindsight, you look back and think, man, I wish I'd gone. Maybe I shouldn't have been in that fight.
I have, like, things that changed. Like, I only have I have few regrets.
Okay.
So I try to live my life, like, try not to have as many. So I think, no, you know, it happened the way it did. I think it was good. It was a good, well-taught lesson for me because my ego, I beat me that night. So, you know, no one else could beat Teofimo but me, and that I just called that on me.
Well, if you have those physical issues, why do you say you beat you? How do you mean that?
Because I allowed others, the outside world, and everything else to get to me in the sense of the pressure. You know, they postponed my fights. They postponed my fights so many times. I mean, it was ridiculous. I don't even know why it didn't come in my mind to just let that belt go. Maybe because that belt that I'm defending is the main one my first one that started everything. See, I'm very passionate with my belts. You know, I'm very passionate with the things that I win. And so I guess for me, it was kind of hard to let that one go. But, you know, you live and you learn. And, you know, I'm 24. You know, I have such a life ahead of me. As long as God gives me health and I'm able to go back in the ring healthy. But I think overall, though, it's just going back to it, man. It's, my father did. He called it something for the hospital. But I knew they were going to post it. I knew that people were going to talk about it. People were ducking and this and that. And I just get annoyed of how many times do I have to prove myself to let everyone know no one ducks here in this side. Like, no one is...
They said that when you had COVID, too, right?
Yeah. And I literally had COVID. You know, I had... Like,
which half the world had at the time, by the way.
I just don't understand, like... But it's... You know what, though? It's naysayers and those that have yet to even jump to fail. Like, in order to succeed in life, you have to fail. The likes of Jordan, the likes of LeBron, the likes of Tiger Woods. I mean, whoever you want to think of it, you lose. But it's not a loss. It's just it's a way of a lesson of something bigger that's coming. So I feel like this had to happen. Only God knows why these things happen.
It was a crazy build-up to that fight. I think it was like 8 date changes in total. There were lawsuits. It ended up being on a different network with a different promotional team. It was a whole thing leading up that. I guess makes me wonder, how do you feel about Triller now? Would you ever sign to do a fight with them again?
I don't talk about, no comment.
Yeah, that's a no, though. That's a straight no. Do you feel like, okay, it doesn't have to be personal to you. Do you feel like they have a place in boxing?
Triller?
Yeah.
They do and they don't.
Okay.
They do if they fix their whole staff and actually get people that know that are involved in the sport of boxing, if they really want to push that. Because they're more of music and, dance and all that stuff. They're more into that production, movie sets and all that. If they move that, they have that, that's 100%. They can give you that. And they'll do it beautifully. I mean, I've seen it firsthand and it's amazing. But if they really get people that actually know, not con artists, not people that are going to just go out there and put out a face, but they don't have anything behind them. But if you get someone like that, whether it's like manager and stuff, like whatever they got to do, boxing, they have somewhat, but at this point, so much has been done that, there's a lot of things that they said they had and didn't have. From licensing and stuff like that. So a lot of commissioners, like a lot of them are not going to want to work with you again. So I feel like that's something that they kind of put onto themselves. I feel like eventually they just stop what they're doing and just go back to being Triller with their music and with their movies and stuff.
So how did that make you feel about 2021? Because I suppose in your mind, I think you looked at the Kambosos fight. Well, sorry, I don't want to assume, but I think most of us from the outside hadn't really heard of Kambosos, right? Australian-based fighter. You don't hear of them as much in America. So you looked at that fight and thought, okay, that's got to be like a routine win for Teofimo. Then he'll go ahead and maybe he fights Devin and finally gets that official title of undisputed. And then maybe there's Ryan Garcia or a Tank or something. It was supposed to be just an enormous 2021 for you, and that obviously got derailed. How difficult for you was it to deal with the difference between the expectation that you had for the year and then what the reality became?
I'm grateful. Everything.
That's impressive. Why do you feel like that?
Because I've elevated so much as a human being, as a person, from everything. Like mindset, my form of thinking, a lot of things are going on in sport, and usually I'll jump on Twitter and give like that reaction. And now I just sit back and let everything just ride it out. I just let it ride out. I'm not really posting much on my feed right now, but I'm still working out. But I'm going to get back to that, show people, because that's part of my job too. Got to let people know that. But on top of it, I just think that it just elevated me as I'm more thankful, grateful, and blessed to be where I'm at today. Because I have I have my son, and man, 2021, I'll be honest, it's my best year.
Your best year?
My best year in life.
Okay.
Really, because so much change happened, and change is always for the better. And so much changed, so much chaos, though, did happen in the middle of it. It turned out to be a blessing at the end.
Was that the year you had your son as well?
Yep.
That's a blessing.
My son was born 11 days before my fight.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So and I got to cherish that moment. I got to cut the umbilical cord and be with him. So it's remarkable how once you're at that point where you're awoken, right? When you're awakened, or however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
You start realizing like the trail that you're taking, the path that you're taking, it's not an easy one. It's not something that people are gonna do. It's very rare that many people take that road. And I think for me,
a fighter you're talking about?
Not just in life. Not just being a fighter, but like the trials and tribulations, but also the sacrifice you have to put in there, the amount of things you have to do. Just like we all do in life, a lot of people are just trying to survive just to get through in life, and that alone is already a tough thing, but what I learned from 2021, I think it was just more so, it was my life experience I gained about like 10 years of experience just from that year, which was better than anything else from my wins and all the stuff that I've accomplished so far. I needed this so that you guys could see what I'm about to bring next.
So what's the biggest lesson you learned?
Biggest lesson I learned? At one point in life, you have to let go of ego in order to create a bigger, a better world for you.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So for me, what I learned is I have to let go of my ego and gain more so than anything else. That's more on a different frequency, but
I feel pride can get in the way of a lot of things, right? We want to be realized.
I had a way of saying no to my father when he told me go to the hospital.
Mm.
So that was my ego and my pride. So, because I allowed what others were saying to dictate how I should be and how I should live my life, when my life and my things that I do, no one taught me how to. I just did it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like Nike, I just do
it. So February, I think it was, you tweeted back then. Like you said, you went through a phase where you shared quite a lot on social, right? And I think it was then that you tweeted, "My career's going great, but the rest of me is slowly falling," which is an intense thing to put on Twitter. Do you think that was you going to social and was saying something like that? There's obviously something that's real heavy on you, right? A burden that you're carrying. Did you feel like that was like a cry for help, or what did you perceive that as?
Oh no, that's just from a quote from Drake, to be honest.
Oh, that's Drake. See, man, I don't listen to music. I got a problem. Okay.
But basically, in a sense of like, do so much and you give out so much of you that when you go back to healing yourself and taking care of yourself, like you're falling apart because you have to pick up all your pieces that you were giving out to everyone else, your energy, your time. That takes a lot. People don't understand, like, time is the most expensive thing in the world. And when you go out there and you're giving that time and that energy and just having people around you, whether it's from talking negotiations or anything, it can really take a toll on you. And you have to remind yourself to go back to you because that train can't move without you.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of me, I guess it wasn't a cry for help or anything. I just wrote that because I felt that. That's deep, what he said. And it's like, I get you, like on that skill level. Maybe he may have referred it in a different way, but I took it in that way, and just kind of wanted to and I feel like a lot of people are going through things. I feel like a lot of people, and I'm not gonna want to be like, let me stay quiet, because when I'm staying quiet, it's hurting me more. I'm the type of person I gotta vent it out. I have to say whatever I gotta say. But at this point now, where I'm at in my career, I would say I have to be very careful of things that I do say. Because it could be flipped around as, Teofimo's suicidal and this and that. And I'm like, whoa, chill. That's not even, I was talking about this and you guys brought it to like 100 real quick. And I'm like, whoa, not that. But, so I haven't really touched too much on Twitter lately either.
You do hear fighters say that. You always hear fighters say it after the event, right? After a fight, they'll say, "Man, I had so much going on in my life leading up to this fight." And we can all relate to that, right? Times that you have to perform in whatever your job might be, that things are going, that you're dealing with stuff personally. I think, though, with fighters, that people definitely expect you to be able to just shut that off and go ahead and perform. How do you do that? How do you stay at the championship level when you have turmoil in your personal life?
You have to have a switch, I like to call it. You have to have a switch when to turn it on. Meaning, like, I'm on kill mode, I'm on, like, this is life or death for me. And that's when you got to turn that on, and all that other stuff could wait, all those problems, anything, because it doesn't matter at that point, because it's just you. No one can help you, no one can protect you, no one's gonna come and like try to fight the guy or fight anyone for you. So at that moment, you have to turn it off, family, and pretty much, I don't want to say love, but you just got to turn something off in you. You have to be cold at that point. And when you're going in there in that rain, you turn it on and you just go in there, and it's very, you got to have like a poker face. Very cold, very still, very, it's at least for me, that's how I am. And Yeah, and then afterwards, I'm back to who I am because when I'm outside of what I do, I'm who I am. Like that's me. So you guys are gonna see. A lot of people think that I'm very arrogant, but they have yet to meet me. But I'm very outgoing. I'm very outspoken, and I'm someone that I'm all about good vibes. Positive vibes. I'm not someone that's gonna brag, boast, and kind of like rub it in your face that look what I got.
So talk to me about what's next, because you've said that you will become unified, undisputed. I think you said the word undisputed again, but you want to do that at 140. You want to move up a division. I think you were hoping for a title fight at 140 for the WBO belt, right? But they've just kind of moved around the rankings and moved you from number 2 to number 4. Why'd you put your head down? Why'd you smile?
Because they're mad. I mean, they put me as number 2 in the WBO rankings because I'm fit for it. I'm going to bring the excitement for the 140 division. Who is? How's is? Think about it. And whether Garcia or anybody else that comes up, they got to come see me at 40. That's me taking over that division. They just started me taking over before they even get there.
If Ramirez has now been put to the number 2 spot and Liam Paro's the guy in the number 1 spot, that means that they would likely fight for the belt. So what does that leave you with now as your next step?
Well, they don't know who they're talking to, though. I'm just letting that right out for now. And that's going to change.
And how's that going to change?
To be continued.
Are you gonna try and see if you could get the rankings moved again?
Listen, I became undisputed at 135. I came to the division, and going up to 140 is the proper thing to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, none of those guys at 140 have yet to even accomplish that goal alone. That alone, yet alone, try to get 3 belts, 4. I got 5 at that time. So it's there's levels and there's things to it, and we'll work our way around it and see what happens from there.
Well, how do you feel being back in chase mode rather than being the man that is being chased? How have you made that adjustment?
Well, I'm still the man.
Right, but what everybody wants in fighting is the belts and a shot at the belts, right? That's what you want right now, too, is why you're annoyed that you're not ranked 1 or 2 for that WBO belt, because you wanted the opportunity to fight for it.
I'm going to get it. Whether it's from the WBO or something else coming up that we're working on. So there's definitely, me fighting a world title is definitely the next one.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens from there. But overall, I think that it's, I look forward to becoming undisputed again. And then again, my goal is my goal is to be a 3-time undisputed world champion. I'll be okay.
3-time undisputed in how many different weight classes?
Yeah, in every 3 that I go to. So
in 3 different divisions?
3 different divisions.
Okay. So you see yourself fighting at 147 at some point?
Yeah, 147 is another thing I see myself. But that's, let me get a couple fights here at 140. So my mass could build up to that, to where I could hang with those 147 guys.
A couple of fights? How quickly are we moving to 147?
See, I'm a big boy. I'm a big boy sometimes. But in reality, I think it's just, I just want to give it time. I'm gonna let God. God is the one that dictates who I'm gonna fight next. He's my matchmaker. He's the one that's gonna align who I need to fight and who he's gonna have for me. But I really trust in God so much. And
so it's God that's told you it's gonna change. The rankings are gonna change.
God does a lot of miracles.
I hear you. Random question for you to finish, right? These are kind of questions I'm asking a bunch of different people. Which fighter took you the longest to figure them out in the ring?
Which fighter took me the longest to figure out in the ring? Nakatani was awkward. I think he was the only one, but I was going through Achilles tendonitis in that fight. I was having a lot of Achilles problems on both my feet going into that fight, but yeah, I think he was the only one that took me up to maybe the 5th round or 6th round to kind of get used to his awkwardness.
Okay.
It was kind of weird.
You said that you're a big boy, right? So what's the most weight you've had to lose before a fight?
My family calls me Gordo, but that was when I was
that's like a term of endearment in Spanish,
Yeah, of course. But the biggest I ever went, I think, was 170.
Wow.
It was during COVID.
Okay.
Now I'm like 151, 152. So I'm only like 11, 12 pounds over my new best. Looking forward to that. Because now I just get to build all this into like mass. Not like crazy. I'm not trying to lift, but it's more so just being more cut, more lean to be able to perform the way I need to for 140. I like fighting at those weights because the bigger the guy is, the slower they are for me.
Oh, and you feel like your athleticism is going to be maintained while moving up the division?
You guys are gonna see at 140. You guys are really gonna see. You guys didn't see me at with Cambosa. I was very, very ill, and I know that. So it was very hard every time I wanted to try to box him. The breathing and it was suffocating me to the where I just had to throw. The more I threw, it was better than staying still and enduring that pain.
That's crazy.
So it really sucked, but I know that it will not happen again. I learned my lesson in different ways, and I'm looking forward to a great mid-year of 2022. I'm looking forward to coming back sometime in the summer. Thinking about making it happen here in the West Coast, but it depends who we're fighting. And yeah, a lot of great.
Do you have any names that you're talking about? People the top rank are talking about to you, or anything that feels like it could potentially happen, realistically?
Well, we're trying to make me and Taylor right now, so I'm just kidding.
That's a nice fight. Did you feel like Taylor beat Catterall?
Huh?
Did you feel like Taylor beat Catterall? Did you watch that fight?
Yeah, I did. I think Catterall did enough. Now that is someone that should have won, But people have their way of doing things. It's boxing. So I think but that's what we're looking at. I would like to have that one go off the ranking, if possible.
I wish you would. Who hit you hardest in a fight?
Who hit me the hardest in the fight?
Who hit you hardest?
Who hit me hardest in the fight?
Whose punches did you feel heaviest?
Even though it was a short fight, but me and Comey, he got popped.
Okay.
Yeah, really, you can tell, so I had to be I was really, I was on, I gotta watch everything this man does, because, he could really probably try to do something.
How do Loma's punches compare to other fighters?
Loma's punches are more like, how can I explain it? Like, it's just like, repetition. But it doesn't hurt. But what he does is that he just breaks you down from the amount of punches and just that the accumulations of punches that he throws, he eventually breaks you down. And I started realizing that, I noticed that. Because in the 11th round, I'm not gonna lie, he gave me that work in the 11th round. I was like, okay. That's why I came like that in the 12th. I was like, you gave me that, I'm gonna give you something more. But it's a great fight. It was for me, he doesn't punch hard. He's just very active with some punches that he does throw. It makes him Lomachenko the Matrix.
Have you ever had injuries before a fight that you didn't reveal or that nobody knew about?
Oh yeah, all the time. Oh my goodness. I had my first pro fight a week before I went into my fight. I sprained my ACL in sparring. And it was my last sparring, and I was telling my father, I don't feel too good. Like, I feel like, we did a lot of work. I think I'm ready. He's like, just do one more sparring. That's it. And second round came, and I threw a mean uppercut. My foot got stuck on the canvas. This was at Top Range Gym. And, man, I twisted, and my knee just popped like that, the bone and everything. And I just fell backwards, and it just goes back in place. And I couldn't go to the hospital or anything because, I'm fighting. And if I go there, I don't know what it is. So it came to that point where it was just so swollen. So we just, a lot of ice, Epsom baths and stuff like that. But I fought like that. So if you look at my pro fight on the undercard of Pacquiao Vargas, you'll see KT tape, the kinetic tape, around my left knee. Yeah, so I was fighting like that. One of the injuries, I broke my right hand in 2018 against William Silva in the first round. Fought like that. It was a 10-round fight scheduled and finished them in the 6th round. So I fought 5 rounds like that. Broken right hand. I have a lot of wars. A lot of scars. Actually, this one right here, I don't know if you see it.
Yeah, I see it.
This one right here I got this one when I was 6 years old when I first started boxing. Hit the double M bag. I was doing pads with this one coach.
You can reach a double M bag at 6 years old? How was it?
It was tall, but I jumped. Up. That's why. So I was just, I was very small, but I went to go get water. And when I came back from getting water, I jumped up, hit the double M bag, and the hook got me right again. And it just took everything, my whole skin, but it almost took my main artery. Like, it almost took, like, my main.
Oh, you got lucky.
Very lucky. And, I think I gave blood to the sport.
From the beginning.
From the beginning, I gave blood to the
Teo, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your time. It was good to talk to you.
Yeah, of course. Likewise.